Our top focus in this edition coming in from the United States, where thousands of children are separated from their families as they seek asylum in America. They are escaping their dark horrors of life in the home countries where they come from, traveling several miles in harsh conditions, packing their entire lives into small boxes with their children in tow. Thousands of families arrive at the United States border illegally every single day, hoping for a better life. But while the parents are arrested for breaking the law, their children are cramped into dingy detention centers, scared and alone. This is their story.
A picture is worth 1,000 words, they say. And this image says it all. A 2-year-old Honduran asylum seeker cries as her mother is searched and detained near the United States-Mexico border. And she's just one of the thousands of children who are separated from their parents every single day. Migrants crossing into America are separated from their children, arrested and prosecuted. Some even deported to where they came from. And the children are tagged unaccompanied minors. What's worse is that they are pushed into this dark, large facility, kept in these cages with metal fencing, with large foil sheets as blankets. A so-called tent city was created in Texas to house these minors. But these too were nothing more than a detention center. And if this wasn't enough, US patrol agents are adding insult to injury. And in a foreign land, terrified and alone. These children are soon reduced to a mere statistic. But while thousands of families are separated, some are lucky. Like this Honduran immigrant who was released and reunited with his 17-year-old in just a few days after they entered the United States.
It was hard, the hardest day for me. I felt like I was losing my son. That's what I thought. I was going to lose my son.
In May this year, United States President Donald Trump announced the family separation policy. It was a part of his zero-tolerance crackdown on illegal immigrants. And since then, 2,000 children have been separated from their families. 2,000 children in just about 6 weeks. And that's a figure quoted by the United States government. In reality, that number could be far bigger. They flee their home countries hoping for a new life, a new beginning. They travel thousands of miles through dangerous conditions and they set foot on US soil, only to find a dead end. Bureau Report, WION.
But President Donald Trump, who is facing severe criticism over his separation policy, is unrelenting. In fact, he's washed his hands off the crisis and blamed his predecessors, the Democrats, for a flawed law. But former Secretary of State and his opponent in the last election, Hillary Clinton, is rubbishing his claim. Calling his allegation an outright lie, Clinton lashed out at Donald Trump. Take a listen in.
Meanwhile, what's happening to families at the border is horrific. Nursing infants being ripped away from their mothers, parents being told their toddlers are being taken to bathe or play, only to realize hours later they aren't coming back. Children incarcerated in warehouses and, according to one account, kept in cages. This is a moral and humanitarian crisis.
Clinton echoed views of the two other former First Ladies of the United States, Laura Bush and Michelle Obama. Former First Lady Laura Bush pleaded for politicians to find a better way of securing the U.S. borders. She called the move by the Trump administration cruel and immoral. Michelle Obama supported Bush's view on Twitter. She said sometimes truth transcends party. This is the context of the fact that the Obamas are Democrats while George Bush was a Republican president. Protests gathered steam meanwhile across the country against Donald Trump's immigration policy. Americans protested in support of the families separated due to Trump's zero-tolerance policy. Democratic lawmakers visited an immigration detention center in New Jersey to meet these family members.
And I'm here today because I am angry. I am ashamed. I'm appalled, and this must end. I am calling on the President of the United States of America, the most powerful man in the world, to end this policy today. End the pain, end the grief. You're bringing America to its knees, and the world is watching.
But the uproar is not just limited to the United States. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres also took note of the crisis. He asked the American government to treat migrants with dignity and respect.
On the issue of migrants and refugee children, as a matter of principle, the Secretary General believes that refugee and migrants should always be treated with dignity and with respect, and in accordance with existing international laws. Children must not be traumatized by being separated from their parents. Family unity must be preserved.
We keep tracking the latest coming in from the United States. But speaking of a crisis in a different part of the world, in a different context, the Chief Minister of the Indian state of Jammu and Kashmir has resigned after the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party pulled out of a coalition government with her party. The PDP says it is always dialogue and reconciliation with the partner BJP in the state that was its main focus. However, the party did not fail to caution that muscular power is not a viable solution for the state.
जम्मू कश्मीर में वी कांट ट्रीट जम्मू कश्मीर एज एन एनिमी टेरिटरी। ये हमारे दुश्मनों की टेरिटरी नहीं है, हमारे जम्मू कश्मीर के लोगों की टेरिटरी है। इसलिए यहाँ मस्कुलर पॉलिसी कामयाब नहीं हो सकती है, जिसका बेसिक मकसद ये था रिकंसिलेशन, यानी जम्मू कश्मीर में रिकंसिलेशन डायलॉग, यहाँ के जम्मू कश्मीर के लोगों के साथ डायलॉग, यहाँ कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्डिंग मेजर्स, पाकिस्तान के साथ एक अच्छा रिश्ता।
The BJP said the 3-year-long alliance with the People's Democratic Party, or the PDP, had become quote-unquote untenable in the wake of increasing violence in the state.
Keeping in mind the larger national interest of India's integrity and security, keeping in mind the fact that Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India, in order to bring control over the situation prevailing in this state, we have decided that it is time the reins of power in the state be handed over to the governor.
Meanwhile, another political party in the state, the National Conference, that was in power in the state of Jammu and Kashmir earlier, says it will not go for any coalition. And the party also appealed to the governor of the state to take control of the situation.
लेकिन हमने ये भी गुजारिश की कि ज़्यादा देर जो है गवर्नर रूल रहना नहीं चाहिए। आखिरकार लोगों को हक है वो अपनी हुकूमत चुने, और हम चाहेंगे कि जल्द से जल्द गवर्नर साहब और उनके साथी कोशिश करें कि रियासत में दोबारा साजगार हालात बने, नए सिरे से इलेक्शन हो, उन इलेक्शंस के बाद लोगों का जो फैसला होगा वो हम सबको कबूल होगा सिर आंखों पर।
Let's just take a step back and contextualize this for you. The collapse of the government marks the end of a 3-year experiment in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. The BJP-PDP alliance had its share of problems right from the very beginning. The BJP and the PDP had agreed to form the alliance government in February 2015 after weeks of negotiations. But the PDP soon termed the alliance decision as unpopular and demanded special status for Jammu and Kashmir. Mehbooba Mufti took over as the Chief Minister in April 2016, 3 months after her father, Mufti Muhammad Saeed's death. And this followed positive discussions that she had with Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. And just a year earlier, Mufti Muhammad Saeed had described an alliance between the PDP and the BJP as a meeting of the North and South poles. This was partly because the two parties had campaigned on completely different visions that they had for Kashmir. The main difference was over Article 370 and the withdrawal of cases against stone pelters. But now they were partners trying to win hearts in the valley. After 2 years of experiments, including the just concluded Ramzan ceasefire that met with failure, it was clear that the strategy of winning hearts was not working. The situation in Kashmir has not improved, and it's time to make a new beginning. That brings us to the immediate question. What are the options now? What happens next for the state of Jammu and Kashmir? In the 2014 elections, the PDP had won 28 seats, while the BJP got 25 seats in the 87-member assembly. The Omar Abdullah-led National Conference won 15 seats, and the Congress got 12 seats. The options were odious. Sworn political rivals, the PDP and the National Conference, could not join hands. The BJP and the National Conference could have joined hands, but the BJP had campaigned against the Omar government. Thus, poll opposites, the BJP and the PDP came together to try out a coalition experiment. The alliance has now collapsed, and the parties are clear that they will not be back on the drawing board anytime soon. But what are the chances if they do? The first and the most unlikely option is for the PDP, the National Conference and the Independents to form the government. The second possibility is if the PDP, Congresses and Sajid Loan's People's Conference and Independents all form the government. But Mehbooba Mufti has announced that the PDP will not go for any fresh alliance. Omar Abdullah of the National Conference also has ruled out joining hands with the BJP to try and form the government. The National Conference wants governor's rule and fresh elections at the earliest. The Congress has ruled out allying with Mufti's PDP. The state is thus heading for governor's rule for the 4th time in the last 10 years. 2 months ago, authorities shut down a female fitness center in Riyadh after a promotional video showed a woman in tight gym clothes. That same month, authorities apologized over a promotional video showing scantily clad female wrestlers. Khatib's removal does not augur well for what happens next week. On June 24th, Saudi women will be allowed to drive cars for the first time in decades. This comes after the government allowed mixed-gender concerts and reopened cinema halls. The downside here is 9 women activists, some of them long-time advocates of women's rights, remain in jail. They've been branded as traitors, accused of spying for Qatar, which is currently locked in a feud with Saudi Arabia. Rights groups say the government does not want any push for change from below. Rather, they should fall in line with the government. It reflects the fact that reforms may be limited in scope. Over and above, they must observe a dress code, which is a long cloak or abaya and headscarf. They cannot compete in sports and parks, and many public places are gender segregated. Crown Prince Salman wants to modernize his country, but this may not include giving more rights to his people, rights that may be used to question his control over the country and his manner of running it. And Saudi Arabia at the same time has its date with destiny on June 24th, when the ban on women driving is finally lifted. And many women want to make sure they are all set for the big day. Take a look at this detailed report.
Women in Saudi Arabia will finally get a chance to drive themselves to where they need to be rather than wait for taxis or chauffeurs. The date they've marked on their calendars is June 24th, when they can officially get behind the wheel, ending a decades-long driving ban. But it's no mean task, and one company is on hand to help them prepare for the road ahead. State-run oil firm Aramco is offering its female employees and their families the opportunity to take classes at its driving academy. Amira Abdul Gader is one of the 200 women taking up this offer.
On June 24, I would like to go to my mother's house and take her on a ride. This is my first plan, actually, and I would like really to enjoy it with my mother, just me and my mother without anyone.
While some women are focusing on honing their driving skills, others are figuring out which car to buy.
I haven't put a lot of thought into my dream car growing up. I've always seen myself in a convertible car, but with this weather it's not so convenient. So I'll do my research. I'm planning to go soon to the dealership to do my research and pick the right car for me.
The lifting of the driving ban is only one of the many sweeping social changes heralded by Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. His detractors say it's too much too soon. But for the women readying for their first shot at driving without fear, it's all background noise. Bureau Report, WION.
Moving on, French President Emmanuel Macron scolded a teenager after the boy addressed him by his nickname Manu. Let's take a listen into that hilarious exchange.
Bonjour. Ça va? C'est bien. Mais ça va? Ça va Manu? Non, je suis pas ton copain. Non. Voilà. Tu es là, dans une cérémonie officielle, tu te comportes comme il faut. Donc tu peux faire l'imbécile, mais aujourd'hui c'est la Marseillaise et le chant des partisans. Tu m'appelles Monsieur le Président de la République ou Monsieur. D'accord? Voilà. C'est bien. Et tu fais les choses dans le bon ordre. Si le jour où tu veux faire la révolution, tu apprends d'abord à avoir un diplôme et à te nourrir toi-même. D'accord? Et à ce moment-là, tu iras donner des leçons.